Well, welcome back everyone to our 274 night, 9-month Ultimate World Cruise adventure. And today, well, we're going to apologize a little bit. We're going to be whining a little bit in Uruguay.
Should we have a little cheese with that?
I think we're going to have a lot of cheese with that wine.
Welcome to Living Phase 2.
Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Nancy, and we're empty nesters striving to live life to the fullest.
And we're living that full life aboard Serenade of the Seas on Royal Caribbean's 274 night Ultimate World Cruise
We
adventure.
sure are.
That's right. So today we're going to show you a couple sea days, and then we cruise into the beautiful city of Montevideo, Uruguay.
Mm-hmm.
This one's really neat. This was a nice surprise Royal Caribbean did for us. When we booked the Ultimate World Cruise, we knew they included 7 World Wonder tours if you were at a certain level of their Crown and Anchor loyalty program. And then later, they actually added 4 more excursions that are included called Royal Caribbean Escapes.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. So this is the first one that we're going to encounter here, and we'll tell you about that. But before we do that, let's just tell you a little bit about, we had 3 sea days between Rio de Janeiro, our last video, and we had New Year's Eve at Copacabana Beach and all that. And so we had 3 sea days before we got to Montevideo, which was probably good to recover after New Year's Eve.
Our first sea day was January the 1st. We were recuperating after New Year's Eve, and we did go for a walk around the ship.
We did. Got a nice start to the new year with a nice walk.
That's right. And later on, they had an egg drop, which was fun to watch as they dropped raw eggs from the 9th floor down to the 4th floor in the Centrum, and they'd made little parachutes.
Yeah.
And
it was great. They could use anything on the ship they could find and to kind of make these contraptions, and it was really fun. It wasn't just the kids that participated, but
people got really involved in it.
Yeah.
While the egg drop was going on, this is when we started having the hurricane force winds.
Yeah, we had a little excitement going on.
Captain Stig was like, stay off the 12th floor, that's now closed, stay indoors, and the ship really was listing to one side, although surprisingly it wasn't rocking horribly.
It was really just leaning, just a little bit leaning,
yeah,
because of the winds hitting one side. This is also where we'd like to maybe address something. Some of you may have saw on TikTok the ship was flooding or taking on water, or no, that there was a door on the 12th floor that was an automatic glass sliding door that you use to go from where the elevator banks are out to the walking track on 12. And all that had happened was when these winds picked up, the rain was coming like crazy. It activated the door. It thought somebody was trying to get there, and the door opened, and then it wouldn't close again. And the rain just was blowing in. If you can imagine 60-mile-an-hour winds blowing rain, that's what happened. And that's where the water came in up on the 12th floor. And they actually in fairly short order got the door closed, and then they just had to clean up all the water. So there was no danger to the ship. Nothing really happened. It was just some water got in on the 12th floor.
Yeah, it did affect the elevators, but they had one of them up and running very, very shortly, and then the other 2, because there's a total of 3 elevators, the other 2 were then running the next day.
It was the forward elevator bank, which is the one we normally use. So we actually were up there because our room is forward. We're on the 9th deck. And so we actually walked through, and it's like, wow, there's a lot of, but boy, Royal Caribbean had crews up there, and they got everything dried out. They dried everything out really well. And at this point now, when we're recording this, you can't even tell anything happened. So we just wanted to kind of set the record straight that there was never any danger to the ship.
No,
it was just some rain that got in. And in fact, the egg drop contest never even stopped during these hurricane force winds.
So that all continued, and that was all good. And the winds lasted about 40 minutes, and then everything calmed back down.
Yeah, exactly. So we just want to say this is a perfect ship and a great crew, and we never ever felt any danger or anything on the ship. They're a wonderful group of people. So, well, our next day was a couple other sea days.
Yeah, and we did on the second sea day was very relaxing, but on the 3rd sea day we went to Izumi for lunch, and we had a sake and sushi pairing. and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that a lot. So they, as Nancy said, they would do it was kind of like the chef's table we showed you in a previous video, but a Japanese version. So they would do a sake, they would talk about that type of sake, and then they'd bring us an appetizer or the next course or the next course. And it was all very good. It was fun, you know, again, spending time with friends.
Kampai.
The crew did a great job. Their sake master came out and talked. All the chefs came out and talked.
They made a sake cocktail, and they did it in front of us. So they showed us all the little steps to put it together, which was absolutely delicious.
Yeah, you liked that one, and I think you had that at the last time we were at Izumi too.
Geisha Girl,
the Geisha Girl cocktail,
the name of it,
and I'm sure you'll be having another one.
They
of those.
gave us the recipe, so that was. Yeah,
cool. So that made for a nice sea day doing that for lunch, and then after that, the next or that evening, what was the entertainment?
First it was lobster night
that's
in the main dining room. So I was in heaven because I
Sushi?
love seafood, love sushi.
Yeah.
So it was like the perfect day of meals for me.
It was.
Yeah. But then we had a headline show that was Andrew Kennedy, a comedian. He was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Good time
He's going to be on again later too, so you'll probably see a couple of videos of him in the future. And then we got some rest because the next day was actually pulling into Montevideo. Yeah. Now Montevideo, this was that as we had mentioned previously, this was the first royal escape. So this was this extra included excursion for full world cruisers that Royal Caribbean decided to include. And for the Americas cruise, the one lasting until Los Angeles, this was our royal escape, and it was called Wine Down in Montevideo. And so we all, Royal Caribbean put this together. What we did is we got off the ship in the morning, we boarded buses, and they took us for a tour around the city.
We didn't know what to expect.
No, we had very little information other than we knew we were going to go to an Uruguayan winery.
And do wine tasting.
Yeah.
That's really all we knew.
Yeah, but they took us on a full tour of the city.
That was cool. We learned a lot, and Uruguay or at least Montevideo, is certainly a really nice place.
It really is. We enjoyed seeing the city a lot, and then we drove way out into the country to the winery.
Beautiful countryside.
That's right. And so we went into the winery, the buses stopped, we got out, and they had sparkling wine for everyone, and then we had that. We were broken up into groups, and they took us on a walking tour of the winery, and then we went into their main hall where they had some kind of tapas. They had kind of a charcuterie plate in front of each of us.
Right, but their main hall was it was like a really old but well done up kind of a barn.
Yeah.
It was so charming.
Yeah. And then while we were having the tapas, they brought out different wines that they make, and they poured us each glasses of them, and then started the show, and they had a big Uruguayan show of all kinds of different acts and everything. It went on for an hour and a half. I mean, all the time we were having these snacks that they had for us to eat, and they had the wine.
Right, drummers and tango dancers and carnival type acts and all. But this winery was very unique because they also made cognac, and I'll let you explain how they get to call it.
Yeah, well, they did. And they actually got to call their sparkling wine champagne as well. So Uruguay helped France during World War II, and as a thank you, France actually let this particular winery call their products cognac, which they made a brandy, using the same wines as in the cognac region in France, and using the same grapes as in the Champagne region of France. They then licensed to them for 75 years to allow them to actually call their products cognac and champagne. And for those of you that kind of know French wines and things, it's that France is very particular. You cannot call a sparkling wine champagne unless it comes from the Champagne region of France. Same with cognac. You can call it brandy or something else. Well, their lease just ran out a couple of years ago, and they have a few bottles of the cognac left. I actually tried it and I couldn't resist. I bought a bottle of the cognac, and and honestly, all of their wines we had were very good. In fact, you had one, a rosé that you really enjoyed, and we bought one and brought it back to the ship with us. So we'll be having that with some friends a little bit later. We're going to have several of our friends went to different wineries, so we all bought bottles of wine from those wineries. And
you really liked one of their red wines.
Yes, I did. Yeah. And so we're going to share those amongst our group and have a little wine tasting back on the ship here. Some of you may be wondering, well, how did we get this bottle of wine on the ship being on a cruise ship? We didn't do anything wrong.
No.
Because we're full world cruisers, Royal Caribbean has allowed us to bring wine back on the ship with us. They know we're going to many wineries, different wine regions, and so they're like, yeah, if for you guys, if you want to bring wine back, we can. And so we brought back 5 bottles of wine with us from this particular winery. We had other friends that brought, I think, 8 bottles back with them. So we're going to be sharing that with our friends later.
Right. Well, just as a side note here, Royal actually they divided all of us up because there were so many of us to 3 different wineries. So our friends got to go to other wineries. So that's why we're going to have a nice wine tasting here on the ship, because they brought back different wines from their winery.
Exactly. So, and that also didn't overcrowd each winery, and then everyone got to try different ones. So that was the winery. After we finished up there, we got back on the bus, and then we got more of a city tour, which we went actually downtown to the main square of Montevideo, and our guide kind of showed us around, and then we got off the bus, walked around the main town square for a little while, and enjoyed that, and then we headed back to the ship.
So upon returning to the ship, we had dinner. We went to see one of the shows in the main theater, and then we were going to call it a night rather early because we have a very anticipated day coming up the very next day.
That's right. So here's why you want to reach down and make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications, because our next video, we're going to go to one of the most absolutely beautiful places in the world. It's one of our most anticipated stops in this entire world cruise, Iguazu Falls in Argentina and Brazil. So we're actually going to spend 2 days there, and we needed to get some rest because we've got to get up and at 6 in the morning and catch a flight, and we're actually spending overnight off the ship there. So be sure to check that out, and if you hit those notifications, you'll be sure to see that at the moment we release that video. We do appreciate that.
So thanks for watching, friends. We appreciate you being here. Have a beautiful day.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.